Alright folks, today we're talking best gimbal for beginners going into 2021 and looking back at what I see as the best budget gimbal from 2020. I've put together an affordable $500 gimbal setup that you as a beginner are able to grow with. This is a basic gimbal setup and all you need to get started working with gimbals. So here we go. Welcome to 2021. I hope you've had an amazing new year, probably a bit different from many other new years, but we're here now. 2021 is just getting started. And if you're looking for the best beginner gimbal, what should you then look for? The gimbal setup that we're looking at today is the Weebill S with the accessories that I got on right here. And why do I choose this gimbal? I'll get back to that in just a minute. Because before we start looking at what gimbal you should consider as a beginner, there are 3 questions you will have to ask yourself. What camera are you shooting on? What is the purpose of the gimbal? And where do you see yourself in 1 year? With these questions, you will be able to narrow down what gimbal you should be looking for. So let's start with question number 1. What camera are you shooting on? This is important because are you using a point and shoot camera or a mirrorless DSLR? If you have a point and shoot camera, a small gimbal like the Zhiyun Crane M2 could be a great fit. But if you're shooting on a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, then you should probably look for a mid-sized gimbal like the Weebill S here or the DJI RS2. So the next question here is, what is the purpose of the gimbal? What I mean is that what types of videos are you shooting? Do you need a gimbal as a tool for your filmmaking business, or are you just shooting videos as a hobby? And the last question, where do you see yourself in 1 year? As a filmmaker or creator starting out in 2021, you've probably already made some goals that you want to reach this year. And if you can see yourself progressing a lot throughout 2021, then you want a gimbal that you can grow with on your filmmaking journey. So with that said, I would recommend that you buy an affordable gimbal with a couple of useful accessories. Alright, let's take a look at the Weebill S and the gimbal setup here that you can get for $500. Alright, so here it is, the gimbal starter kit for $500 that I would recommend you would invest in if you're just starting out in 2021. It is the Weebill S we have on here, and the Weebill S sells for $399 right now. It's a great price for it. And then there's a couple of accessories that you should invest in as well. The first one is the side handle here. It's a very important tool because it gets a much better grip and much better control when you're using the gimbal. The side grip here is $32, I believe it is. Goes down a bit from 29 to 32, but right now 32. And then an extra top handle. And I recommend getting an extra top handle because then it's easier to switch from the normal upright mode to the low mode. And the extra handle here is, Zhiyun's handle is $39. You can also get a cheaper one, but I just like having an extra tripod on there. And I'm using this one because I had an extra laying around. Then I recommend you get the Zhiyun's quick setup kit so you can easily take the tripod off and store it once you want to pack your gimbal down and set it up. You don't need the setup kit up here because you can just screw this one on and off if you're not switching your tripod from up here to down here. If you are doing that, I recommend you get 2 of the setup kits. But if you use this setup, 1 is enough. Then there's the last thing here, just need to power down the gimbal. And that's a quick release plate for your camera. And I recommend this because then it's easy to switch from the gimbal to a tripod or something like that. And I have this quick release plate on all of my accessories. I'm using the Kaiser one. The one that's in the kit is the newer one. It's a similar one to this one, but I am looking for another one, an Arca Swiss one. But I'm using this one right now. I've used it for the past 2 years, I think, or something like that, and it works perfectly. So this is the basic gimbal setup that I would recommend you investing if you're first starting out. So why do I recommend this gimbal in particular? Yes, in 2020 I've used this gimbal a lot, and I've also used a lot of other gimbals, Crane 2S, Crane 3S, DJI RS2, RS2, Fiutech gimbals, you name it, I have used them all. And I just want to say one thing, the Weebill S is a gimbal that you can grow with. It is small and compact. It can take a mid-size camera, but it also takes small cameras, and all the way up to a GH5 with a hefty lens, the 10 to 25 millimeter, without any problems. And the one thing that always make me go back to the Weebill S is that it gets the job done. And that is very important. You want a tool that gets the job done, and the Weebill S does that. So if you are a beginner and you want a gimbal that you can progress with, you have a solid gimbal in the Weebill S. You won't grow out of this gimbal right away, and you won't be missing any features, because once you start working with gimbals, you find out that, oh, you want to do this and you want to do that, and with the Weebill S you can do all that. It has all the features a gimbal should have. So it's a solid one if you choose this one. And you can choose a lot of other gimbals, but don't take the cheap knockoff gimbals that you can get for about 100, 150 bucks that looks great on paper, because they aren't. Use the extra bucks on a solid gimbal that you can use for a long time. And yes, if you are progressing and you want a bigger camera like the S1H or something bigger like that, the Weebill S won't do it. Then you need a bigger setup. But start here and then work your way up if you want to change out your camera. You can always sell the Weebill S for a good price after a year or something like that, if you find out that you want a bigger gimbal. So that is it. That is the $500 gimbal setup that I would recommend you go out and invest in 2021. And if you want to see my video of the pros and cons of this gimbal after a year of use, you can just jump back one video and watch that. I will also link it down here so you can see it. It's a good video, and I will point out some of the good and the bad things about the Weebill S. But as I said, as a beginner, don't worry, it will do the job. Alright guys, before I let you go, a couple of things I want to mention here is that a lot of new stuff is coming into the office of the studio here. The Andy Kine 6-inch monitor is what we're going to take a look at in a future video right here on the channel. We also have some great setup kits for the gimbal here. If you're using gimbals, or if you're shooting on a camera, you probably want to use a ND filter if you're shooting a lot outside. And the problem with that on gimbals is swapping them out. But Freewell here has solved this problem, I think. They have sent me these to test out. It is a magnetic system, so you can easily pop them on and off. I'm curious to see how it works. So this coming up as well. There's also some other things we're going to take a look at. We're going to take a look at the Pad Prompter Pro. It is right here in front of me. It's what I use to shoot all my tutorials. And I've been using this for about 2 months now, or yeah, 2 months I think. And it is the best thing ever. So a lot of new stuff here in January. We're going to take a look at my studio setup and what is actually behind all of this right here. So that is January. I just want to start it out with a beginner gimbal video. And with that said, if this is the first time you're here, remember to subscribe if you want to learn more about filmmaking with motion. And remember, stay creative and stay safe, and if you can, go out and shoot some dope videos. See you next time. Bye.